It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Just follow that gorgeous, cute little giggle all the way to your TV screens. Welcome back. You're with Espresso. Time to delve into another edition of Baby Talk. Certainly, I think one of Kat and my favorites parts of the show. And as we continue to build around the theme of Mental Wellness Month, which is so important, we are still discussing the topic of how traditional wellness of a mom can affect the mental wellness of a baby. Part of a much broader discussion, I know. And in studio, we've got clinical dietitian Amanda Rush Ferreira to shed some light on this topic. We can be light about it and we can get really heavy with it. This is a very, very important topic.
Absolutely. Great to have you here with us, Amanda.
Thank you.
So let's talk about how mom's nutrition does affect her own mental health and also her emotional well-being.
So it's non-negotiable and totally accepted in research that there's a huge link between your mood and your food. And what you eat and what you don't eat can create deficiencies, and this is especially important in your mothers, your pregnant mothers, your breastfeeding mothers, because they already have higher requirements of nutrients and higher risk of deficiencies. And the stats actually show that your pregnant mothers, about 20% of them are suffering with depression, and about 15% of your postnatal mothers are suffering with depression. So those are very alarming stats. So it just shows you that we really need to focus on the nutrition of these mothers to help to improve their mental health. And what we've seen in research is that they've compared the Western diet, which is very refined, very processed, very high in sugar, lots of junk food, and they've compared that to your traditional diets, like your Mediterranean diets and your Japanese diets, high in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, fish, things like that, omegas, exactly. And it shows us that the Western diet increases our risk of depression by 25 to 35%.
Wow.
So that makes a huge difference.
Depression, a big part of that stems from a lack of control or a feeling of not being able to control your own situation, your own state.
Totally.
Yet this is one thing that we can very much control.
Exactly.
I know that within the wonder of pregnancy and watching what's happening within your wife, your partner's kind of that cycle of pregnancy, what's happening within them and within the baby are very interlinked, but we have to be able to identify two separate streams here in terms of what's going on for that baby. How can the nutrition of the mom, especially during pregnancy, affect the well-being of the baby?
Well, nutritional deficiencies in the mom can have a huge impact on the baby. For example, some research suggests that a choline deficiency in the mother can predispose a baby to schizophrenia. Also, we need to look at the link between the mother's mental health and the child's mental health. So research shows us that a mother who is stressed and anxious and or depressed actually can impact the neurodevelopmental outcomes of the baby. So we're looking at things like developmental delays, emotional problems, ADHD, and these can all present in your child who's been born of a mother who struggled with anxiety and depression.
Yeah. So with that said, then, what would some of the key nutrients, because we're focusing in on that, be that directly impact the mental health of mom?
So there's loads of nutrients associated with depression, anxiety, and ill mental health, but the one that's been focused on mostly with maternal depression is omega-3s. Now, omega-3s are really powerful anti-inflammatory, have very powerful anti-inflammatory properties, and that acts on what we call the HPA axis, and the axis actually impacts your stress response. And also the omega-3s are necessary to manufacture dopamine and serotonin, which, as everyone knows, are your happy hormones.
Happiness.
Exactly, exactly. So that's been really focused on. And of course, omega-3s are important for all other reasons in pregnancy, for the baby's brain development, for the mom's brain health, etc., etc. So
Vital,
the omegas.
And we know, and that's, I mean, it comes as part of now almost your pregnancy nutrients pack. It's that's being driven, but I think we often forget about the fact that these things exist in our food. They are there, they can be part of a healthy diet, but this is, I think you can see Kat and I are both thinking so much about this, and hopefully this has sparked something within you at home as well. We're going to continue talking about the relationship between nutrients and mental health in particular when it focuses on pregnant women and mothers, and we'll continue that discussion in just a moment.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show on this Thursday morning. It's a Thursday morning's baby talk session with Amanda Rush Ferreira, and she's a clinical dietitian. We're focusing on the nutritional needs of mom during pregnancy, postpartum, and how these could be linked to certain mental health issues that we see being more prevalent these days. And earlier on, we spoke about those key nutrients that do directly impact mom. So how could a mom then easily include nutrients in her diet in order to eventually include them into her baby's diet? And
Are supplements enough?
Yeah, I guess that's the big question.
Highly recommend that pregnant women do take a supplement, especially when that includes omega-3, but no, they're not enough. You need to have a really good balanced diet. So what I mentioned previously was that omega-3 was so important in maternal depression. So with that, we're talking about fatty fish, walnuts, linseeds, nuts and seeds, avocados, things like that. Nice, fatty, healthy foods. Fatty fish can get quite pricey if we're looking at things like salmon. So things like sardines we can get away with really nicely as well. And feed these to your baby. That's really, really good for them. There's also other nutrients that are implicated in maternal ill health. Folate is one of them, B12 is one of them, iron, selenium, zinc, vitamin D. All of these deficiencies can create sort of ill maternal health.
Precursors,
I'm not going to give you a list of what every one of those things can provide, but you can just basically focus on a whole lot of fruit and vegetables, lots of that fatty fish I spoke about, whole grains, but not refined carbs, whole grains like lentils and quinoa and things like that. Lots of healthy oils, lots of healthy fats, seeds, nuts, avocados, avocado oil, olive oil, canola oil even. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, we know this. We know these things, guys. We know these things. I think one of the most enjoyable parts as an observer, and I speak with absolute humility in this space, because you sit there witnessing what your partner goes through during pregnancy, this unbelievable transformation, very much a transformation in what they like to eat, what they want to eat. Is there a difference in the nutritional needs during pregnancy and breastfeeding as it exhibits in the way that often we see diets changing? Do you need, if you feel a craving for something, is that something that your body is telling you it needs? What is going on within the body? And I ask this, on behalf of many men out there, but more importantly, on behalf of many women out there. What are those different nutritional needs going through pregnancy and then through breastfeeding?
So obviously there's hugely different nutritional needs in a pregnant woman, a breastfeeding woman, and then a non-pregnant or breastfeeding woman. But the majority of the difference is actually in your micronutrients. That's your vitamins and your minerals.
Okay.
Your macronutrients, your fat, your protein, your carbs, your calories, they don't have a huge difference. In the first trimester, you actually should be eating almost the same as what you would be eating before falling pregnant. And in the second and third trimester, what you need is only an extra sort of between 100 and 400 calories a day, which is like a glass of milk and a handful of nuts. So the craving for these really high energy foods, these pizzas, these burgers, these chocolate, things like that, they're not really warranted on a nutritional level.
Where does it come from? How can your diet, your preference, is it something that's happening on a hormonal level?
It's happening on a hormonal level.
Is changing that your...
Yes, it's happening on a hormonal level. But in terms of macronutrients, you have vastly increased requirements. So you're going to need more of, and these are the specific ones, you need more vitamin A, vitamin B12, obviously you're going to need folate, you're going to need vitamin C, vitamin D, iron, selenium are all really, really important. Yeah.
Amanda, thank you very much for joining us and for your insights. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
During this baby talk.
Been
and of
awesome.
course, you
Thank
can
you so
also
much.
follow @NutriPeds online for more information regarding this topic.